I'm sitting here daydreaming, and I wasn't watching the time. I don't know if it just changed to 1:11 or not. Usually I try to catch it pretty quickly, but I may not have. Anyway, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. It is 1:11 on, this is Tuesday, the 26th, but this is the video for the 27th of November, 2013. And the title that I've selected for today is a quote but from, well, it's a quote. "The state is a gang of thieves, writ large." Jeffrey Bloom misquoted Murray Rothbard on the floor of the European Parliament when he said, quote, "The state is an institution of theft, writ large," end quote. He also said that, quote, "As the people get your number, it won't be long before they storm this chamber and they hang you. And they'll be right." Yeah, I got to stop doing this. I added a word for some reason there. My title is the actual quote according to Google. When I shared it on Facebook earlier, I added, quote, "It would be just as true in the U.S. Congress and all other government institutions around the world. The political class is, by far and large, a worldwide network of prostitutes hired by bankers and corporate chiefs to screw the public in every manner they can dream up and legislate." End quote. Yes, you can quote me on that. Truth is truth. If I were writing it now, I would say banksters. And I don't know what I'd say instead of corporate chiefs. Corporate criminals is probably more like it. I did, though, when I Googled Murray Rothbard, he has got a lot of interesting quotes. Here's another one, and I'm going to share with you that I thought was really important. He says, "For there is one crucially important power inherent in the nature of the state apparatus. All other persons and groups in society, except for acknowledged and sporadic criminals such as thieves and bank robbers, obtain their income voluntarily, either by selling goods and services to the consuming public or by voluntary gift, for example, membership in a club or association, bequest or inheritance. Only the state obtains its revenue by coercion, by threatening dire penalties should the income not be forthcoming. That coercion is known as taxation, although in less regulated epochs it was often known as tribute. Taxation is theft, purely and simply, even though it is theft on a grand scale and on a grand and colossal scale, which no acknowledged criminals could hope to match. It is compulsory seizure of the property of the state's inhabitants or subjects." I've been saying that for a long time. The state is a criminal institution operating a racket of coercion. It's operating a human slave trade. It is unlawful. It is a group of outlaws, as Murray Rothbard said, a gang of thieves. Indeed, it is a gang of thieves. And that gang of thieves is bought and paid for, as I said in my quote, by the banksters, by the criminals that run the corporations and have turned even our governments into privately owned for-profit corporations. And everything the government does is unlawful. Everything. Because they're operating on an unlawful foundation. You can't build lawful things on an unlawful foundation. It automatically becomes unlawful when the foundation itself is not solid and not set in cosmic law and universal law. Universal law is what common law is based on. It is found, the principles of it are found in sacred writings from the beginning of time. Do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Don't harm anyone. Do what you will, but don't cause harm. Again, It's don't cause harm, don't cause loss, and don't violate anyone's free will. Simple, simple, simple stuff. We don't need government. Government is the problem, not the solution. Now, I know that there's going to be a lot of people say, but Ron, aren't you a proponent of government? No, I'm a proponent of bridges. And a good government is a republic form of government. And I don't mean Republican Party for those of you that think that they're the same thing. They're not. A republic is a form of government that has limited power of this by the state, and it protects the state's primary obligation is to protect the natural rights of its citizens or the inhabitants of its land. That's the role of a legitimate government. The governments that we have called democracies, or they're really not democracies, they're corporatocracies, where the corporations run everything. It's totally illegal, totally unlawful. And illegal, of course, is the term that they would use. They have legal things to make unlawful things lawful and lawful things unlawful. They turn everything around in the legal system because it's run by attorneys and judges and politicians, bought and paid for, prostitutes by bankers, and they screw everybody. This is the nature of the world that we live in. Everything is inside out, upside down. Everything is a lie, and we've been told so many lies, lies on top of lies on top of lies. It's a wonder that anybody can figure out who they are. It's a wonder any of us come to our senses, because we live in a world that has been so corrupted, and yet within us burns a flame that is an eternal flame of freedom, a flame that is part of the divine creator that's in each of us and in all of creation itself. In every atom, there is a flame of freedom. In every atom, there is consciousness. So that all creation is made to serve itself. Everything serves itself by serving the greater whole. That's the way it works. We all, if we come to our senses and we realize who we all realize that we are individual pieces of God, if you will, made to serve other individual pieces of God and make a cohesive unit called society. But we have turned everything on its head, inside out, upside down, and backwards. Everything, we've gotten it wrong. Everything became a lie. Everything became a delusion. Everything became a mistake. Everything became a sin. Everything fell short of what our intended creation was about. We were intended to become fully conscious sons and daughters of the living God. We're getting there, actually. But boy, what a trial it has been to get there when we look at government and we look at the institutions that are in our world and we look at how they have turned everything backwards. You know, the doctors don't produce health. They keep you taking pills and producing side effects that create more problems so that they can sell more pills. The schools don't educate our children. They train them so that they can become productive members of society and nice, complacent slaves. That's what the education system does. It's just simply job training. They throw a little bit of tidbits here and there, and some people pursue things on their own and actually get an education because they're curious enough to study outside the box. But inside the box, it's all a control grid. The religions don't teach people how to be spiritual. They teach people how to be dependent, so that the minister and the priest and the clergy, whatever label you want to put on the clergy is the one that hears from God and tells you what you're supposed to be and do, because you're not allowed to hear for God yourself as an individual, according to most religions. In fact, people have been told that if you study the Bible, you will go crazy. Well, there's a lot of truth in the Bible, and there's a lot of things that are misunderstood in the Bible. Is it to be taken literally? Some things perhaps, most things no. It's mostly figurative. Mostly there's a spiritual interpretation of it. Interesting, but we get trapped by being literalists. And the legal thing it's not about law. It's not about truth. It's not about justice. It's a criminal operation extorting money from people with penalties, not taxation, penalties. And most everything that they charge a penalty for is not unlawful. It's not unlawful to smoke weed if that's what you want to smoke. It's not unlawful to take any natural substance if that's what you choose to do. It's not unlawful to do anything as long as it doesn't harm anyone or cause anyone loss. And if there's loss caused, there is remedy so that you can take care of the loss, because each one of us has value, and the value is unlimited. But we've not been told that. We've been told lies. We've been told that we are the debtors, not the creditors. That's a lie. We are the creditors, not the debtors. The debtors are the corporation. The debtors are the governments. The debtors are the institutions that have grown up around us, and they are supposed to be our servants. And we're supposed to be the ones in charge. But how can ignorant people be in charge of anything when they don't even know who they are? So that's why we came to the place that we have come to, and why our governments have become the gang of thieves that they are, writ large, as Murray Rothbard said. Written really big, and we're starting to see it. And as Jeffrey Bloom said, when as the people get your number. Who's he talking to? He's talking about his fellow parliamentarians. He's talking about the other people in the European Parliament. But he could be speaking, or someone else could be speaking, the same thing in the U.S. Congress, the U.S. Senate, or any of the state houses in the United States, any of the legislative branches in any country on earth. Virtually all of them have been corrupted. Even the ones that are theocracies have been corrupted one way or another, because they don't allow their people freedom. And freedom is the nature of human beings. It's our God-given right to be free. It's an unalienable right to be free, to have free speech, free press, freedom of religion, freedom of choice in who we love, how we love. Freedom, freedom, freedom. It's all about freedom. God is on a freedom kick. That's the universal law. That's what creation is all about. It's about freely embarking on this journey of discovery to remember and come back together again in a more fuller and richer way than it was before, so that we gain in wisdom and we gain knowledge, we gain experience, practical knowledge, practical wisdom. We gain all of these things by this journey called human life. But everything has been corrupted till this generation now, when we're finally getting people waking up, finally getting people seeing the bigger picture, finally getting people on board to really start speaking truth to power. Truth is truth, as I said at the end of my blurb, and as I posted on Facebook. Truth is truth, and we are the truth. The truth is we are the creator in little form, waking up to become the creator that can create its own reality. We haven't gotten there yet, not consciously. Creating your own reality is true, but when you do it from an unconscious thing, you're the victim. You're not in charge. Only when you can create consciously is it meaningful. Otherwise, you're always going to be the victim. Otherwise, you're always going to be the slave and the servant. You'll never be in charge. And being in charge doesn't mean you're in charge of other people. It just means you're in charge of you. It just means that you're your boss. And I'm not talking about kids, because my little grandson keeps telling me, you're not the boss. You can't tell me what to do. He's 5 years old. Well, I can tell him what to do. I'm his grandfather. But in any case, as adults, we need to grow up. And we need to stop being dependent on the state and looking to the state for answers. We are the answers that we've been waiting for. We are the ones that have been promised to awaken and have the Christ and the Buddha and the divine waken within us so that we can become fully human and no longer a race of subhumans that are enslaved and follow orders from criminals that run governments. That's all I think I'm going to share for today. And an hour ago, I had no clue what I was going to talk about because I'm so busy getting the house ready and getting things organized. But I do thank you for listening and have a great day. Namaste.